Hi guys, it's Crystal with Design Bundles. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make this super cute gift using your Cricut Mug Press. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start off by going over all of the supplies you're going to need. I've already pre-printed out my design. I was able to get 4 per sheet. So you're just simply going to measure your mug and size that out. So I've cut out some parchment paper, size that down. I've got some heat resistant tape. I've got some scissors here so that way I can just trim these down. You could definitely use your paper trimmer for this, but when it comes to designs like this where it's not a full wrap, I just simply cut them down like this. I just kind of trim off the top and have it sized perfectly. The mugs that I'm using today are the Cricut 15 ounce. I just purchased a couple big boxes of these, and you could usually catch these on sale. Now, I'm using a ruler here just to figure out my exact measurements I need for my design. So if you were doing a full wrap, you can do the exact same thing here. But since I'm just doing the design, I really just need to know the height and about how far I can go on the front of the mug. Next up, I've got some rubbing alcohol and a lint-free cloth here. So what you want to do is clean all of your mugs. So you could do this in a production line. If you're doing a ton of these, you could clean all of your mugs first, then apply your design. So definitely feel free. You could do them one at a time. But for me, when I'm doing multiple, I just like to create a whole production line. But for here, I'm just kind of showing you one at a time, and then I'll actually cut out just kind of doing all these at one time. So I'm going to go ahead and take my heat resistant tape and line up my design here. Now I made my design just a little bit too big. I mean, it fit from top to bottom, but I was really having to be careful lining this up. So make sure you give yourself at least a little bit of a 1/4 inch so that way you're not struggling to line those up. So now what I want to do is pull nice and tight to the other side and apply the other piece of tape. This is what is going to help give it that pressure. So you're just going to pull nice and tight, apply the other piece of tape, and we are ready to apply our piece of parchment paper. Now, you don't have to do the parchment paper. I show you guys this all the time, but I definitely highly recommend it because if you ever have ink bleed through your paper, it may get on your mug press and could totally ruin where it's going to press onto something else. So I just like to protect my mug press. It's an extra step, and I just cut these down. So now we're ready to load it in the mug press and hit go, and it's going to press for 5 minutes. Now, once it's done and completely cooled down, this is what it looks like, super cute. You could do these for teachers in all sorts of different types of events. So now I am ready to cut out my tags. So I actually use my Cricut Joy here, and I use some glitter cardstock. I just loaded it upside down. I would recommend using the green mat instead of the blue. So what I did was I've went ahead and designed out all of the names to and from, and then I used the Cricut Joy to write all of those out and then cut out all of my tags. So that was super easy as well. So now we're ready. You can see all of my mugs are good to go. I've got a whole production line here. I've got all my gift tags ready to go. I've got some ribbon. I've got my little bags here. These were like 98 cents at Walmart. You get a ton of them. And then I got a ton of candy. So loaded it in a little bucket here. We've got some twine, some scissors, because I'm going to show you how we're going to do our bows to save on the ribbon. So here's the finished look here. This is what I'm going for. Once again, you could do these for birthday parties, teacher gifts, weddings. You know, there's all sorts of stuff. Whatever design you want to put on the front, fill it with some candies. You can do all sorts of stuff. Imagine towards Christmas time doing like a s'mores, all kinds of stuff. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and start loading the candy in. I go ahead and start getting a few pieces in there, and then I'll go ahead and set it down into the mug. And what I'm trying to do is do a variety of candies. So you'll see I'm kind of picking a few different pieces. That way it's, different pieces. So I'm going to go ahead at this point and load it into my mug so I can start to see how much more I need in there. So just get a few pieces to kind of get it going in the bottom. And then I'll continue to load in a couple more pieces before I tie it off because I want it to pop up out of the cup just a little bit, but not a ton. So I'm just testing there. And I also like to do my suckers towards the top, and that way I could have the stem of the sucker kind of pointing upwards and tie that off at the top. I think it's just a little finishing touch. It looks really cute. All right, so now we're ready. I'm just testing it out again. I think I'm happy with that. Once you get one down, you kind of know about how many candies you want, and it goes so much faster. So now I'm ready. What I'm going to do is for my bow here, I'm actually going to kind of fold this a little bit. So you see I do one loop and I come around for the other, and then I'm going to cut it off. So we're not going to completely waste a whole bunch of ribbon tying this thing. So we're just going to cut it right here, and then we're going to take a twine. So we're going to take the twine as long as I need it to wrap around my plastic bag. So you're going to cut that down, and you're going to wrap it around this piece. So I'm just holding it. So you really need 5 hands here, but you can do it. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this around, keeping the knot towards the back of the bow where I've cut the ribbon. You can see the ribbon. So I'm just going to tie this in a knot, and I'll tie it one more time just to keep it nice and tight. So this is going to look like you've wrapped it in ribbon, but only the front has the bow. This is going to help you save on ribbon, and it's going to help it not be so bulky when you go to tie this off. So like I said, right now I am just tightening this up so that way it'll be good to go. So the next thing that I will do is I'm going to take my one of my tags here that I made with a Cricut, and I'm going to feed it through. So what I do is, if you end up, because you may not be even, so what I like to do is I take the longest side to give me a little bit extra. I take the longest side of the ribbon and I put it through the hole here. I actually use my We Are Memories Keeper hole punch here to punch all of these holes. And there we go. So now I can wrap this around the bag. So just simple as this. I go all the way down till I'm touching the candies, and then I tie it off, and I'll tie it one more time. So I think the glitter, that's why I use the glitter cardstock, because that's the front that everybody's going to see, and it just kind of helps it pop a little bit more. So if you were doing a Christmas theme, you could do like a gold ribbon with red cardstock, but you could even do a red solid cardstock at that time. So just feel free to spruce these up however you would like. Now, when it comes to my bags, depending on what size you have, I like to trim mine down. I like to just have about an inch, inch and a half above, and it just kind of makes them all uniform. So I tried to keep them all uniform, keeping the tags and everything towards the right, cutting them all down to the same size, and trying to keep that candy. Like I said, once you do 1 or 2, you just kind of have them down. Another thing you can do is you can actually start out by putting the bag in the mug first and filling. So you can definitely do that as well. I wanted to show you another way there. And then same thing, just cutting down that ribbon, adding the twine, and wrapping it around. Once again, you really need 5 hands for tying that bow, but it definitely is pretty easy. It looks rough, but it's easy. So that's it. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Will you guys be making these? Now, I made these for Nurse Appreciation Week, but you could definitely make these for teachers or graduation, maybe even Mother's Day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the like button down below and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.